All right, Comp 1. This is week 12. We are in the last essay of the semester. So it's really getting crazy. It's getting high point value, and we're getting close to the end of the game. Okay, we have 16 total weeks. We are entering the 12th of 16 weeks. So yeah, it's really getting interesting. Looks like everybody had a very good turnout as far as by handing in their essay threes on time. So I'm looking forward to reading those. I'll be grading those throughout this week and next week, and I'll make sure to get those back to you within 2 weeks. So let's take a look at what we're doing this week. Essentially, if you should have already handed in your essay 3, and you should have taken a look at the new assignment sheets. So the new readings are right here: How I Discovered the Truth About Poverty and Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. Both of these are in your textbook. Now, you will have to summarize both of these, but you do not have to use them in your essay, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But real quick on the summaries, you'll notice that in all of the previous readings, I gave you a way to get the works cited entry. So for instance, for Why Bother, it was right here in the essay 3 folder. It was right here. And all you had to do was just copy and paste it. Now, I'm going to just let you know, this is the part of the semester where I want you to start thinking a little bit more about an LA citation. You don't have to memorize the whole thing, but I would like you to at least think about how this thing works. Now, if you think about this, this is a citation. You're looking at a citation from Why Bother, which is in the textbook. And I just want you to think about this. Okay, so Pollen, Michael. What is that? That is the author, correct? So all you need to do to get the citations for the next 2 readings, which I'm not giving you the full citation for, all you need to do is plug things in, right? So find out who the author is, and then last name, comma, first name, period. Great. And then why bother? Well, we know that that's the article title, right? So right now I know that I'm going to be putting in this How I Discovered the Truth About Poverty for one of my citations, and then the other citation is going to be the other article. So I'm just going to copy and paste that into this citation. Green Stewart and April Linsky. Okay, wait a minute. This is textbook stuff. This is stuff that won't change because it's out of the same textbook, right? Oh, good. But wait a minute. One thing will change is the page numbers. So you have to look out, okay, where's the first page and where's the last page? It's page this through this. That's what that means. All you have to do is just change out that information, and you've got a citation. You've got the citation right there. So I'm still pretty much doing the work for you, but I'm wanting you to think this through a little bit. And all that is you go back to one of the previous citations I gave you, realize that those citations were from the same textbook, and you just interchange those, okay? So that is what you're going to be doing for your summaries. Now, I want you to know, on Essay 2 and on Essay 3, I required you to write essays that were focused on one of these readings, okay? And for Essay 2, you were telling me what your opinion was. For Essay 3, you gave me an analysis of whether or not you think the author made a strong argument. On Essay 4, it's different, okay? Essay 4 is a straightforward argument, your argument. So whatever you believe about a certain topic, that's the thing I want you to write about. Now, let's take a look at the assignment sheet. And you have some caveats, but pretty much you get to make your own argument. Finally, right? It's finally time for your voice to be heard. Let's make that happen. So if we go to the homework and assignments, we go to the Essay 4 project folder, and we scroll down here, you're going to look at the Argumentative Essay assignment sheet. You look there, and you're going to take a look, and here is the Argumentative Essay. Okay, so it's got to be at least 4 full pages in length, and that does not count the works cited page. And it's going to be 4 to 6 pages in length, Times New Roman, 12-point font, 2.0 spacing, so double space. And you must also include a works cited page. Of course, that does not count for the length requirement. You have, it's like it says, basically, having read and understood the required reading list. Now, here's the thing. You can write your argumentative essay on anything that we've already read as far as topics, but you're not going to write in a response anymore. The focus of your essay is not what somebody else wrote. The focus of your essay is the issue. What stand do you take on this issue? Now, again, this will not be, I believe this because, okay? That's very fundamental thinking. That's good. It's good that you understand why you believe what you believe. But again, that's not what makes a good argument. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make a good argument. You are going to choose your topic, and then you're going to decide, okay, what is it that I believe about this topic? Where do I come in on this particular argument? What is the argument what are people arguing about with regards to this topic? What do I believe? But then you have to make a decision. Okay, can I make an argument that's convincing to my target audience? So it's not going to be, this is why I think what I think. Anybody can do that. That takes zero skill. Well, actually it takes some skill, but it's not the skill that I'm asking you to perform. You should already know why you think what you think, and it doesn't really matter, right? Because think about this. If someone's making an argument to you why you should believe something, it doesn't matter why they believe it. It matters why you should believe it, right? And that goes back to the same things we were looking at in essay 3, the analysis. We're analyzing another person's argument and saying, okay, was this likely to be convincing for the target audience? Well, you need to decide who your target audience is. And I'll give you a hint. Your target audience, whenever you're making an argument, is not the people that believe what you believe. It's going to be either people who have not really made up their mind on this topic or people who disagree with you. So that is a challenge in making a strong argument, because anybody can sit there and give you reasons why they think what they think. That's pretty easy. It's harder to say, okay, I'm going to really try to understand my audience. I'm going to respect them. I'm going to assume that if they are presented with compelling evidence, that they will change their minds. But I need to understand that it's possible that the things that I find to be convincing will not be the same things that they find to be convincing. So this is where we really have to think here, okay? Because writing the essay, you can write words. Anybody can write words. Anybody can quote and paraphrase and summarize. That is pretty typical high school stuff. But what we're doing here requires a degree of thinking, right? A degree of thinking that says, okay, I need to make a compelling argument to an audience that does not agree with me. And I need to give them reasons that they will find compelling, okay? And you're not writing to me, okay? You don't even know what I think about what you can maybe make it take a guess, but you don't know, and it's not important what I think, okay? So I'm going to grade you based off of the strength of your argument, kind of like what you did in essay 3, right? Much like what you did in essay 3. Essentially, it needs to be clear in this essay that you understand what your target audience believes, why they believe it, and why they feel the way they feel. You need to understand your target audience and think, okay, what are some of the things that they find to be important to them? What are some of the things that they may find offensive? What are some of the things that I want to bring up because they will be strong and really tug at the heartstrings, maybe, if you've heard that, really make them feel passionate about getting into maybe changing their mind? And what are the things that I need to avoid offending them, or to avoid going down a rabbit hole that I shouldn't go down when I'm trying to convince this audience of this thing that I'm trying to convince them of, okay? So it's the thing is, most students find this essay to be their favorite essay because I'm finally giving you some leeway as far as you get to choose the topic. Now, I'm going to give you some parameters to keep you from writing about aliens or the Loch Ness Monster or things like that. But for the most part, I'm going to give you a lot of freedom so that you can write an argument that is compelling and something you're really knowledgeable about. Now, having said that, when you're thinking about your topic, you should try to avoid topics that you're so passionate about that you really don't respect anybody who disagrees with you. Okay, so this is something we need to recognize as adults and as writers. If there's an argument that you cannot, and it's not a mature thing, right? But we all have to recognize our own biases and our prejudices. If you've got an argument that it just makes you so mad that someone could possibly disagree, that you feel like, I don't think I'm going to be able to make a rational argument. It'll probably, as much as I try, I'm going to get angry and probably say something insulting or something that could be taken as insulting by the other side of this argument. That would be something I'd recommend that you avoid. Okay, pick a topic that you feel like you can come at it with a respectful tone. Okay, so that may limit you. It might be an issue. Maybe there's issues that you're very familiar with and you really know these topics very well and you'd love to make a strong argument, but you realize, man, I just can't get past the fact that it makes me so angry. Okay, we all have to recognize these things. The goal of this assignment, okay, remember, you got to remember, while I want you to make the best possible argument, this is an exercise in rhetoric. Okay, this is not really going to go out there to that particular audience. You're just practicing in a classroom. Okay, so if you have a topic that you just, man, you're like, well, if you believe this other side, then you have brain damage and you're a bad person. If you can't get past that mentality, you're not going to make a good argument. I'll just tell you that right now. Okay, so think about that. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to be able to look at your audience as human beings, right? And I'll give you a hint. There's no vampires. Vampires and monsters really don't exist. They're all human beings, right? And so what you need to be able to do is look at someone who may not agree with you, or maybe they disagree with you on a topic, and say, okay, what is it that they actually believe? And is this a big enough group that it's actually worth making this argument? Okay, so for instance, you might one of the things I don't want you to do, right, is the flat earth theory. Okay, so that's off limits. So that's going to be that's an example I'm going to use right now. Well, many people would find it difficult to find people who believe in flat earth theory. They would find it difficult to respect them. Okay, and you can see this pretty much every time someone makes an argument against flat earth. It's a disrespectful argument, right? And do you think if a person disrespects you, do you think you're going to give them a fair shot? Do you think you're going to open up your mind and say, oh, this person who's being insulting to me might have a point? No, right? Most people are just going to get offended. They'll get defensive and they're not going to listen. So, and not to mention, there's not really that many people who believe that the earth is flat. It's not really that big of an argument. Okay. Yes, we love the videos that make it seem as though, wow, there's this big movement of people thinking the earth is flat, but there's really not. Okay. There's really not. It's just a lot of clickbait and videos that get a lot of views because it's so out of the ordinary to have that belief. Okay. So if you have an argument, you got to think, is this specific argument that I'm making, is there really a big enough audience out there to make this a worthwhile argument? On the other hand, when you make an argument, don't try to solve. Remember, this is only 4 to 6 pages, folks. Okay. This is not a treatise on world peace, or this is not a book that you're writing. You also have to think about that. So for instance, you're not going to solve issues that are as the huge issue of racism or all environmental issues or what to do about education. You're not going to solve those huge issues in 4 to 6 pages, right? You have to think about that. What are my limitations? People have written books and volumes of books about these topics, as they are as when it comes to a macro level, that is the global level, and the issue still remains, right? So with a 4 to 6 page paper, it needs to be something that there's a big enough audience that it's worth bringing up, but it's not such a big topic that you can't really solve it in 4 to 6 pages. So for instance, though, you're like, well, I was hoping to do something maybe on racism or environmentalism or on whatever topic. Okay, whatever topic that is a big issue, right? Okay, these are valid issues, they're big issues. Well, in this case, narrow it down to a specific aspect of these big issues. Don't feel like you're going to need to, in 4 to 6 pages, solve the big topic, the overwhelming, all we need to do is this, right? You're going to need more pages than 4 to 6 to really solve that issue. And so what you may want to do is maybe you're going to solve the issue. Maybe there's a specific instance where racism was prevalent and it shouldn't be. And maybe it's something we can solve on that micro level when it comes to the grand scheme of things. Or maybe, like, for instance, we've already had Michael Pollan's article about environmentalism, right? He's not trying to solve the entire grand scheme issue. He's saying, okay, the average person, what can the average person do? This is what you can do, right? He's saying he doesn't try to address every aspect of climate change. I mean, there's so much to it, right? So maybe what he focused on is what the average person can do. Okay, or education. I mean, God knows there's an enormous amount of things we can talk about with what education should be and where it should go and what it should do and how it should advance. That's more than 4 to 6 pages worth of content. What you need to do is think about, okay, maybe there's a specific course that should be developed, or maybe there's a specific thing that should be taught in schools in high school, or that should not be taught in high school, or something like that, right? You're going to need to get specific enough that you can actually address the issue in 4 to 6 pages. I know as a freshman in college, you might feel that 4 to 6 pages is a lot, but it's nothing. It is a small thing. It's very short. Like, for instance, if you go to Comp 2, you're going to be writing a 12, probably an 8 to 12 page paper. And then if you continue on with many bachelor's degrees, you'll probably write 10 to 20 page papers regularly. So this is a short paper. It's not a book, right? And so your concern should not be, how do I fill 4 pages? It should be, how do I make sure that I can, within the confines of 4 to 6 pages, how can I adequately make my argument to my intended audience in a respectful way that would possibly change a person's mind? Because that's the goal of argument. The goal of argument, sadly enough, we live in the world where argument has turned into something where it's like a bunch of mic drops and yes queens and all these, it's really sad. Argument should be something where essentially you just allow a person to change their mind, and you give them what they need to change their mind. And you're not telling them, see, I told you so. You're not slapping them in the face. You're not making them feel embarrassed. You're just simply allowing a person to change their mind, and you're giving them what they should have. Here's what you didn't know. Here are the reasons that you maybe haven't considered, and this is why you should consider changing your mind. And it's in a respectful, friendly way that actually will work. Because again, just think about you. If a person came up to you and insulted you and then tried to make their case, you're going to be mad at them from the get-go, right? You're not going to listen to them. So don't expect your audience to somehow, listen to you. So whenever you write this essay, I'm going to be looking for your tone. I'm going to be looking for, did this student write an essay that would likely be convincing to a reader, or did this student just write, hey, this is what I think and this is why? Or did the student write, hey, this is why you're dumb if you're on the other side? Okay, neither one of those are good arguments. Good arguments essentially allow a person to change their mind, and they give them a good reason to do so. Okay, so having said that, you're going to need to do some research to back up your argument, because your reader isn't just going to take your word for it. Your reader is going to require you to do some research, and that's normal. So what you're going to do, now it says you must cite from one of the readings in the textbook. So one of the readings, let's see, you choose, actually up here it says, having understood the required reading list, choose one required reading to use in your essay. If you would like to use a reading that we have not covered this semester, you may do so. So what that means is any reading that we've already done this semester, you can use, and then any reading from the textbook you can use. And what this means, that's going to help you determine your topic. So while I am allowing you to have some freedom in the topic that you discuss, the only confine would be that you're going to use a source from the textbook to help you make your point. And what that's going to do is that will technically, that will limit you to certain topics. And those are the topics that I want you to be somewhat limited to. So you're not writing about aliens, or so you're not writing about, some flat earth or whatever. This kind of keeps you in the mainstream. Okay. So these are the mainstream topics that are likely to have plenty of things that you can use for sources. There's been a lot of research done. You'll be able to find a lot of articles on the database, and we'll get to that in just a minute. These are the sources that I want you to be able to access. So these are the topics that I'd like you to, keep. However, having said that, you're not required to make the same arguments or have the same basic argument as the reading from the textbook. The reading from the textbook just has to be used one time as a source. So it doesn't even have to dictate the topic that you argue about. So for instance, maybe you might be making an argument that people should trust organic gardeners, or maybe they should start their own organic gardening business. I'm still thinking about Michael Pollan's article. Well, Michael Pollan's article, it was about environmentalism, but it did talk about growing your own food and the value of growing your own food. Well, maybe your argument has nothing to do with environmentalism, like specifically. Your argument is that the average person should buy organic foods only, or should eat a diet of organic foods. Well, one of the benefits of eating organic foods, according to Michael Pollan, is that it allows you to buy food from your neighbors who are maybe gardening in their own home. According to Michael Pollan, one of the benefits of having your own garden is that you have a better connection with where your food comes from, and you have a better connection with other people. So if you go to the farmer's market and buy organic food from your community, you're helping people make that good choice, which not only helps you because it helps you be a healthy person eating organic foods, but it also helps the environment, according to Michael Pollan, right? So in that case, I was using Michael Pollan's article as a side note, right? As a point that helps me make an argument that really isn't about environmentalism, right? My goal is to get people to eat organic foods in this scenario. So I'm making this argument. Maybe there's other things I'm going to say, right? I think, okay, organic foods don't have as many pesticides put on them, so they're less likely to harm your gut bacteria, which is going to improve your digestion and heart health and all these other things. That has nothing to do with the environment, right? But that's a point that I'm going to bring up to support my overall thesis that people should buy and eat organic foods, right? So in this case, I'm using a source from the textbook. I'm going to paraphrase what Michael Pollan says, but it's not determining the topic of my essay. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. If it doesn't, you know how to get a hold of me with my office hours every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and on Tuesday and Thursday. Take a look at the schedule. Email me. Many of you guys, you're really great about emailing me whenever you need to talk to me, and I've been able to work around your schedules as well. So I want to be there to help. Okay, having said that, that is going on, and so essentially that is the goal. And then in addition to that one article from the textbook that you're going to use, you also need to use at least 2 sources from the Vincennes University online library. Okay, so we've been doing that. We've already been using some sources from the VU online library, but let me show you how to get onto the VU online library. If you go over here to the main login page and you scroll down, you're eventually going to find, let's see, where is it? It'll say library somewhere over here. There it is. For me, it's under instructional. So you click there and you're going to find this. This is the landing page, and you scroll down a little bit. Don't use this search one VU. Go to databases A to Z. You click there and you're going to see a long list of databases, and you're welcome to use any of these, whatever you'd like to do. But let me just give you just a real quick life hack. For most of freshman and sophomore year of college, you can just use Academic Search Complete. it's going to be everything you're going to need. And actually, for most of you, this will take you all the way through your bachelor's degree if you go for that far. But take a look, Academic Search Complete. This is where you're going to find your sources. Don't Google it. Just use, again, you're required to use 2 sources from the VU Online Library. So what you're going to do is you're going to search from this database. Now, let's go with the example I was going with before, why people should eat organic foods. Well, okay, so for me to make this argument, I have to kind of already know a little bit about organic foods and the value of eating organic foods. So one of the things I brought up before was the effect of certain pesticides on the human gut bacteria. So in our bodies, we have more bacteria than we have cells. So I happen to know about this, right? It's something I'm interested in. So that's why maybe I would make this argument. So that is something I want to search specifically. Now here's one thing I could do. I could say the value of eating organic, right? And this is going to give me a general search. And maybe this might be a good idea. I might find some things. And so let's see. If we look over here to the left, what I want to do, if I did this search, I would go over here to limit to, and I would want to limit everything to full text. And that's the first thing you're going to want to do when you do a search, because you don't want to leave these things out there. You want to make sure that you can actually read the article, in other words. And I want to scroll down. And for me, this is an article that, okay, so it's pretty recent that we've even had this discussion as far as what is organic and what is not organic. For me, I'm going to want to choose, I'd like to choose research that's been done in the last maybe 15 years. So let's say, okay, I'll go back to 2005, and that's the oldest thing I want to read, because I want things that are up to date, because that is going to give me some currency. And then I go down, and I don't think I am going to be able to understand an academic journal, because I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert in this field. I'm just kind of a novice. But I know that I can read a magazine and a newspaper. So I'm going to go ahead and click on magazines and newspapers. And that's going to, let's see, there's newspapers. That's going to whittle these searches down to only 11. So this is manageable. This is something that I can actually use. And so, okay, great. Let's see what I have here. So Ask Tufts Experts. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Fresh Start Solutions. I'll have to look into that further. A Meat Lover's Guide to Eating Healthy. Hey, cool. That sounds good. Give frozen peas a chance and carrots too. Okay, well, I don't know what that. I'm going to look at the titles. And okay, I don't really see. Okay, maybe here's one, How to Eat Clean. Okay, maybe that's going to be kind of cool. I'm going to see what I can find out here. So I'm going to click on the PDF text, and I'm going to look to see, first of all, where is this coming from? Okay, this doesn't look like this looks like a pretty short article, which is not a bad thing, but I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the citation tool. So I go over here to the right, I click Cite, and I scroll down to MLA. And this is out of Better Nutrition Magazine. And I know that because it's in italics. Whatever's in italics is the name of the magazine. So, okay, here's a possible source that I might use. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the second part of our assignment. Okay, so pause, right? Pause right now. The second part of the assignment is your annotated bibliography. So that sounds really scary and hard, but it's not. If you go into this, back into the Essay 4 folder, you look at the Annotated Bibliography assignment and materials. There's a folder dedicated to this, and you click there. And let's take a look at the assignment sheet. In the assignment sheet, there's an example of what this should look like. But anyway, so we're going to open that up. And the purpose of an annotated bibliography is to catalog your research. Because as you may already see, there's a lot of things that I'm finding, and it's easy to forget where you've gone, and maybe I'll get interrupted. I get a phone call or a text. It's easy to forget where you get certain information. What did I just read from this article and all that? So what this is, in Comp 2, you're going to have to do a big one, but in Comp 1, we only have to do a small one for this small essay. So essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to start a document. Let's just go ahead and start this document. Let's get new document here. Beautiful. Okay, wonderful. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the citation let's suppose this is an article that I might want to use. I don't know for a fact, but I kind of like it. So I'm going to copy the citation and I'm going to go to that Word document and I'm going to right click and I'll go ahead and to merge formatting because I want it to look good. And I know I need to have the hanging indentation for a citation. So I'm going to do the enter and then the tab. And actually I need to change my font to Times New Roman. I'll just do that real quick. Times New Roman, 12-point font every time. And that kind of messes me up, but I'll fix this. Let's see here. Okay, so, all right. Very good. And then, wait a minute. Okay, and there we go. Okay, sometimes you gotta kind of mess with it. Okay, now I've got a nice citation. This is a citation that I might put in a works cited page. But for right now, this is my annotated bibliography. So let's suppose I'm going to take a look at this article and I'm going to read the article. And I'm like, yeah, I think I might use this article. It's not the only article I'm going to use because I know for a fact I have to use at least 3 articles in this essay. So that's 3 articles I've got to read and figure out how to keep the information separate. So let's suppose I've read the article. And let's go to the annotated bibliography assignment. I'm going to write 2 to 5 sentences briefly describing or briefly summarizing the source. It's a lot like a summary assignment, but you don't have to quite do it as thoroughly. Okay. And the idea is that you just give yourself a few sentences to remind yourself what the article essentially is about. Okay. Then you're going to use 1 to 3 sentences explaining why the source is a good source to use for the essay. You do this by using the crap sheet. Okay, what is this crap sheet? So you go back. I'm going to show you where to find this. This is basically it's a sheet that helps you determine how good the source is. So it's source evaluation materials, the crap test. You click there, and I take a look at this, and these are the criteria that I would use to determine for my topic, is this a good source? So for instance, I talked about previously the currency. I want this to be a current article because organic food is something we've only recently started talking about. Yes, people have been talking about it for maybe decades, but only recently has it really become major in the mainstream. So I want something current. So look, currency, the timeliness of the information. Great. So whenever I write my annotated bibliography, I'm going to write a little something about how current this is because it was published in what year? What year was this published? Okay, I don't see the year here. So how do I find out what the year is? Oh, easy. I go to that works cited entry and guess what? It was printed in September of 2016. That's pretty recent in the grand scheme of things. So great, I can say in my annotated bibliography entry, and I'll just show you what that's going to look like. It's going to look something like this. Okay, I'll just clear out the rest of this right here. This right here is an annotated bibliography entry. As you can see, we have the citation, just like I had before, and then there's the paragraph, right? The first few sentences talk about what's in the article. Oh, look, this is a current peer-reviewed study. Well, if it's peer-reviewed, what does that mean? Well, that means it is, let's see, we got to go back to the crap sheet. There's authority. The source of the information is authoritative. It means that other experts have looked at this and they say that it's true. You could also point to the publisher or the author and say this is a credible source because it was printed in Time magazine, which is a major publication that people have trusted for decades. Okay, so you just look at these criteria and you pick 2 of them that you believe this article that you're going to use qualifies. Okay, and again, I give you in the assignment sheet, I give you examples of what previous students have done to make this work. And then the last thing you do on the assignment sheet, let's see, where is that assignment sheet? The last thing you do is 1 to 3 sentences to explain how you plan to use the source in your essay. Because you got to have some kind of a plan. It's one thing to have a source that you could use in your essay, but you need to think, okay, how do I plan to use the source? Am I going to use a quote? Or am I going to paraphrase it? How am I going to use the source? What is it going to do for my argument, right? And so that will be maybe the last sentence in your annotated bibliography. So the annotated bibliography, just to make this clear, is a separate assignment. There's two assignments that are side by side in this one project. The annotated bibliography is there to help you while you do your research to produce your argumentative essay. You will hand two different things in, annotated bibliography and then the argumentative essay. The argumentative essay will not include your annotated bibliography, and your annotated bibliography will not include your argumentative essay. They're two separate things that you're going to hand into two separate places. However, they are working for the same goal, right? Your annotated bibliography is where you're cataloging the research that you're doing to make this argumentative essay thing work, okay? So having said that, let's go back and let's say, okay, great. We've got the source and we've got the citation. Let's pretend, let's just for the sake of argument, just for the sake of getting through this lesson, we're just going to pretend that, oh boy, I got to enable editing. Okay. I'm just going to pretend that I've got a annotated bibliography entry. Voila. Wow. Don't look at the actual text, but let's just pretend that's it. Great. Well, I just need 3 of these and I'm done with my annotated bibliography. That's how simple it is. And the cool thing is I could always come back to this and I already have my citation. And if I want to, I can go right back to that article because I know the name of the article. I know who wrote it, and I can go right back to that database and I can find it. So let's see here. Let's go back to the results. So if I wanted to, I could just search for that. Now, let's suppose I'm familiar with this topic enough to say, well, okay, the organic thing. All right. So maybe I might say, I might modify my search because I know I'm going to try to make the point that if you don't eat organic foods, some non-organic foods use pesticides that have been shown to harm your gut bacteria. Okay. That's something I think I know. Okay. But I can't assume that my reader is going to take my word for it. So I need to have some kind of evidence. I need to have a source that helps back up my claim. So maybe I might say pesticides effects on gut bacteria. So I'm going to search for that, and I'm going to hope that there's something that's been published on that specifically. Maybe there has, maybe there's not. I'm going to, again, go to full text every time. And then there's only one magazine article. Oh boy. So that might mean that I need to look at some academic journals. I might need to peek at those. But for right now, I'm just going to see what that one magazine article says. Maybe I'll get lucky. And this is the thing. Bugs join forces against pesticides. That does not look promising. And the problem is this is just an HTML file. So I don't really get the full, article as it appeared in the magazine. But let's see here. Insects, I'm going to read it real quick. Insects and microbes have been teamed up against pesticide commonly sprayed on crops. Okay, this doesn't even have anything to do with the thing that I am interested in. So I'm just going to have to go back, and I might have to take a look, instead of just in magazines, I might have to try my luck at an academic journal. Now, the problem with that, let's take a look at this academic journal. Okay, because this looks like, oh, that's not going to help me. Maybe I want to make sure human gut bacteria is included. Okay, not a lot of help here. Not a lot of help. So let's see here. 16-week pilot study on glyphosate. Okay, and Roundup administered at human equivalent dose. Okay, maybe this would have something for me. But the problem is an academic journal is going to be written at a very high level. It's going to use maybe some vocabulary that I don't know. And oh man, oh geez, this is going to be high level stuff, and I don't think I understand it. So even though it's something I want to report on, I can't seem to find information to really back this up. Now, what this means is that I may have to do some further study. I might have to do a little bit further study outside of the Academic Search Complete database. Maybe there's specific words that I need to use. Maybe there was a specific study that I'm not familiar with. If I use Google, if I use other outside sources, maybe I can find out what to search for when I look for my source in Academic Search Complete. So don't just assume, hey, I typed in a few words to Academic Search Complete and then I didn't magically find my source. That's not the end of the game, okay? Because, okay, I've come to a place where my initial search did not help me find my sources for my essay. So what I need to do is use outside sources so that I can find a database source, okay? We have to get crafty, we have to get resourceful. And it may just be that I can't really ever find any real data to back up my belief or the things that I had heard that I think it was glyphosate, actually was the thing I'd heard, affects gut bacteria. So if I can't find any data to support that, maybe at that point, I need to look at a different point that I need to bring up. And again, this is where your brainstorming, your clustering, your free writing is going to help you, because you're going to come up with more than just one or two things that come to mind. You need to come up with a plethora, right? If you've seen Three Amigos, anybody seen Three Amigos? But you need to come up with a lot of possible points that you could bring up that are going to convince your audience to change their minds about this topic. Okay, so having said that, okay, at this point, I know I'm going to need to do deeper research on that particular point. But maybe I can go back to the main search engine, and maybe I might say organic produce benefits, right? You want to search for more than one thing to find all your sources. Don't just say organic produce and then that's it. So, okay, let's see. Now I'm on this new search. I'm going to always go to full text. Look, I've got 31 years of data here. So let's scroll. I'm going to try to get it. I always like to do something recent if it's has something to do with science. And I've got 5 magazines, 3 newspapers on it. Okay, great. Beautiful. So I can start looking at this. Okay. Okay, that looks like some cool things. I always like the PDF text personally, just because a PDF text looks like it appeared in the magazine, and it's easier to quote and it's easier to see what page things are on. HTML is not as easy to do that, but sometimes the HTML is all you have. Pickle your produce for your health and taste. Now, I'm not a big fan of pickles. My son hates pickles. I like them on hamburgers. But that made me think, okay, maybe there's something to that I hadn't even thought about. Okay. So what it takes to do good research is time and patience. And I know that's usually both of those things are in low supply at this point in the semester, but this is why I'm covering it today. And I want you to be on the look for sources from day one. As you brainstorm, as you cluster, as you free write, as you think about your audience, right? Because you still need to do an audience awareness paragraph. We'll talk about that in a minute. As you put together all of these things, you need to constantly be researching, finding out new things about your topic so that you can make the best possible argument. Because the best possible argument is going to be respectful. It's going to assume that your reader, they're not terrible people for disagreeing with you or not agreeing with you already. And it's also going to be backed up with research, because no one is going to listen to your voice, sadly enough, right? Unless you have some research and you can say, well, it's not just me here, right? If you want to look at the research, it's here. Look at what the experts are saying. That adds to your credibility, and it makes anything you say more powerful to your audience, because it shows that you're not just, shooting your mouth off, as people used to say in the day. It shows that you do your homework and that you do your research too. So that is essential. So let's wrap this up today. It's been a little bit longer of a video. I appreciate you sticking with me. Okay, so Blackboard, here we go. So essentially, let's go back to the syllabus and look at what we need to do this week. So for this week, week 12, we've got a lot that we need to begin. Okay, we're at the beginning of this last essay. Now let's take a look. This essay will be due Friday at midnight in week 14. Okay, so you've got all week this week. You've got all week next week. Okay, next week by Friday, your rough draft is due. And then by the end of week 14, your final draft is due. So you have 3 total weeks, but really you have 2 weeks. You have this week and next week to finish your rough draft. Okay, so you need to get to work on this. You got a lot of work to do. This essay is generally the most fun because it's your own personal direction, but it can be more challenging because finally the teacher isn't telling you what to write about, but now sometimes it's hard to figure out what to write about. I understand. So what you're going to do though, you're going to look at all of my videos in the Essay 4 video lectures folder. You're going to look at them all. Okay, these are all the videos. You need to watch all of them this week. So start early. There's a lot of video here. This is the culminating essay of the semester. This is what all the semesters, your skills that you should be building all semester, this is what it eventually builds to. So read the assignment sheets, watch all the videos. And then from there, by the end of this week, you should have completed your brainstorming, clustering, and free writing. And you should have completed your audience awareness paragraphs. You should really know who your audience is. By the end of this week, you should have at least begun on your outline. And I would recommend to start that early because you're going to probably need to make adjustments as you go. Okay. You're also, again, if you haven't already done so, you need to read. You need to start doing your summaries for these last 2 readings. These are the last 2 summaries of the semester, guys. So knock those out. You're going to read the essay assignment sheet, the argumentative essay assignment sheet, and you're going to read the annotated bibliography assignment sheet. So I'm loading you up with homework. I apologize, guys. Sometimes I have to be that teacher. I always hated that teacher. So I understand if this is not a happy, video to watch, but this is the final essay of the semester. It's the essay itself is worth 15% of your grade. The annotated bibliography is worth 5%. So to combine these things together, that's 20% of your final grade. A lot of points at stake. So take this seriously. I'd be happy to give you help. If you want me to help if you want to shoot some ideas at me, that's fine. I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know. Feel free to email me, talk to me in my office hours. Get to work on this, guys, and let me know if I can help you, and have a great